Hello there, welcome to the show. Well, with another round of the Cup out of the way, Hearts look forward to a quarter-final tie against Ayr United, a home fixture most people at Tynecastle would have happily accepted before the draw last weekend. We've reaction to the Albion Rovers game and the draw for the next round coming up in just a minute. Also in today's programme, a look ahead to the trip to Fir Park on Saturday, a chat with the Chief Executive about what the future holds on and off the pitch for Hearts, and a profile of the prolific Neil McCann. Joining us in the studio here to discuss all that is Paul Ritchie, who is of course a key part of that Castle Rock defence at Hearts. First then to the Cup, and a struggle early on for the boys on Saturday, but a comfortable enough win in the end. We went down to training this week to get reaction to the game and of course that draw for the quarter-final.
Well, I mean, we won. We took a while to get going really. You know, Albion Rovers, to their credit, did very well. The goalkeeper in particular played well. They were organised, they were a credit to themselves, but you know, I thought in the second half we stepped the pace up, and as soon as we scored the first goal the game was over, but they're always difficult ones.
First half especially, they played well. I think they tired a bit at the start after about 10-15 minutes of the second half, and I think that's when our fitness started to tell, but at the end of the day, 3-0 before the game, we'd have taken that.
Yeah, very good. We've been lucky. Come last 2 weeks. Last week we come against Celtic score. Yes, Saturday come the first start of the game, scored twice. It's very good.
Well, it's a great draw. You know, to get any draw at home is a good draw, and Ayr United, you know, from the first division, we can ask for very much better. But in saying that, they beat Kilmarnock on Saturday, the holders. Kilmarnock gave us a hard time when we played down there at Rugby Park a while ago. They've been doing well, so it's not going to be an easy game, and they'll come here and they'll fancy their chances.
I think the priority for when you know the draw's taking place is to get a home draw, so we were first out of the hat out of the 8 teams left, so as soon as we saw that we were happy, because I mean the priority in the draw is to get a home tie.
There we go. Well, we'll talk about the Ayr United game in just a second, Paul, but first let's look back to the Albion Rovers game. First point I'd like to pick you up on, the team were booed off the park at half-time after the first half performance, 0-0 at half-time, the fans not happy. Was that fair?
I think it was a bit unfortunate for ourselves. I think Albion Rovers, to their credit, done really well in the first half, and I thought the fans are entitled to their own opinion, but to boo us off at half-time was a bit unfair.
Do the players get annoyed by that kind of thing? You know, the fans obviously expecting a great deal, expect a bucket full of goals against Albion Rovers. Does that annoy the players?
It does a bit. I think they should be a bit more patient. But when you look at the difference in the leagues, Premier to the third division, they expect goals, and on Saturday they never kill them in the first half.
And of course, from Albion Rovers' point of view, it's their kind of cup final, a game against Hearts at Tynecastle. How did you find the game personally?
It was a very hard game. All credit to Albion Rovers. They gave us a hard time in the first half, and it was just down to fitness in the second half. They crumbled halfway through the second half, and in the end it was a comfortable victory.
Everybody knew they were going to sit behind the ball early on. They certainly did that. It was kind of difficult and frustrating for Hearts to break them down.
That's right. They got a lot of players behind the ball, and we had a couple of chances in the first half. None hit the target, just the one from Colin Cameron at the end, but we never created enough in the first half.
Most people, right enough, would have taken a 3-0 Hearts win before the game. Most Hearts supporters, that is, would have taken a 3-0 Hearts win before the game. Good to see David Murray get a run in the first team.
That's right. Due to suspensions and injuries, young David Murray come in and done really well. Lockie was ill over Thursday, Friday, and the gaffer thought he wasn't fit enough for Saturday, and David Murray come in and done really well.
It just shows about the strength and depth that Hearts have got in defence as well as attack at the moment. People said at the start of the season, you know, you won't do much this season because there isn't that strength, that deep pool of players. David Murray comes in, they're talking about adding Rab McKinnon to the team now, whether it's this season or the end of the season or whatever. There is a big pool there.
That's right, there's a very big pool, and every player we've got is capable of playing in the Premier League. So for the people to say that we've not got depth in our squad, they're wrong.
Jose there said he was lucky, if you read in between the lines of that slightly convoluted answer. He said he was lucky and he's been lucky. It's a bit more than that though, isn't it?
Yeah, he's been unfortunate to start games. I don't know if the gaffer thought he was fit enough to play in the Premier League. He's been great to have on the bench, come on the last 15-20 minutes and salvage things from games like the Celtic game. He got his second start on Saturday and done really well. Scored 2 goals, and his trickery gets the crowd. That's one thing that does get the crowd lifted, seeing players like Jose Katongo and Neil McCann.
Good stuff. Look ahead now to the Ayr United game. You must have been happy with that draw, eh?
Great draw. It's a home tie. David Weir said it earlier on. Anything at home you can accept, especially in the last 8 of the Cup. But it will be difficult. They knocked out the Cup holders and they'll be up for it.
David Weir had a great play at that point, the home advantage. How much of a difference realistically does that make?
Oh, big advantage, I think. especially the way we're playing this season. We've only been defeated twice at Tynecastle. That was by the Old Firm. We've taken care of everybody else, so anything at home is a big bonus on our behalf.
Good stuff. More from you in a second, Paul. But back now to league business, and Hearts travel to Motherwell on Saturday with that end-of-season pressure mounting. In past seasons, this might not have been considered to be a crunch fixture, but as we're only too aware, every point counts for Jim Jefferies and the team just now. Just by way of a refresher then, here's a quick look back at meetings between the teams over the past couple of seasons. There we go, that's Motherwell for you. In danger of lulling ourselves into a false sense of security, perhaps, Paul. Good results against them this season, but they're a good side despite those results, aren't they?
That's right. I think when we played them at Tynecastle, we done really well that day. Motherwell never really had any attempts at goal, but I think come Saturday it will be a different story.
And the previous game, of course, you killed it off very early, didn't you, with 3 goals early on in the first half?
That's right. It was over by half-time, 3-1 at half-time. We played really well that day and the early goals helped us out.
Looking at the specifics themselves, Owen Coyle and Tommy Coyne, they're 2 strikers obviously. How easy are they to play against as a defender?
Very difficult. Owen Coyle's an international class player and Tommy Coyne as well. Tommy Coyne's a very good player and it will be hard for us on Saturday.
Older players, but their experience presumably counts, obviously.
That's right. Very experienced and come Saturday we'll have our hands full.
A certain amount of unsettlement in the Motherwell team as far as the manager is concerned. Obviously they've lost the man that steered them for the last few years. He's gone. Is that going to make a difference to them? It could work both ways, either for or against Hearts, couldn't it?
That's right, it can work both ways on Saturday. It might give them the lift they need. New manager come in, they've got a lot to prove. And on the other hand, they might say, well, we don't know where we're going from here. So it could work both ways on Saturday, we'll just have to wait and see.
Let's have a look at the league just now, Paul. I think we've got a table here, there we go, that we can have a look at. I mean, that's it, simply there in, I was going to say in black and white, in maroon and white. It's, the pressure's beginning to tell there, isn't it? Every point counts.
That's right now. You're talking 12 games to go, every point does count. In the start of the season, you could get away with dropping points here and there, but now every point counts.
Jim Jefferies has got a few selection problems, the best kind of selection problems, hasn't he, for this game, with Jose sticking a couple away and so on. There's a lot of fighting for places.
There definitely is. I think Saturday will have virtually a full squad to pick from. So, as he says, a good point from the manager. He'll have to pick 11 players from a pool of maybe 19 or 20.
And lucky injury-wise so far this season, touch wood.
Very lucky.
Good stuff. Thanks very much indeed, Paul. More from you in the second half of the programme. But that's it for the first half of the show. Don't go away though. We're back in just a couple of minutes' time with the thoughts of Chris Robinson, Neil McCann, and more, of course, from the great Paul Ritchie. See you then.
Yes, dear?
Where's my tea?
Just coming.
It's not cold enough. No, actually. It's all right.
Welcome back. Well, with so much attention focused at events on the pitch at Tynecastle these days, it's easy to forget the amount of activity going on behind the scenes. The new stadium and all its facilities are a good indication as to how Hearts' commercial fortunes are changing. So, what of the man who masterminds the business side of the club? David Harron caught up with Chris Robinson to chat about the road ahead for Hearts.
Kitongo's there, twisting and turning, there's a chance on there for McCann. Kitongo!
The recent televised dramatics against Celtic were another example of Hearts being very much back in the big time. But for Chief Executive Chris Robinson, the process of rebuilding the club has only just begun.
I think we're actually ahead of schedule on stadium rebuilding, and we're certainly on schedule to where we felt the team should be, and that's a great tribute to Jeffries and Brown, who've done a superb job. We need to improve admin, finance, marketing, and really build the business side to match the quality on the pitch and the quality of the stadium. The current strategy of the board is to consolidate what's been done in the last few years, and then from a basis of strength start to plan when the time would be best to rebuild this stand. We believe it should be rebuilt sometime in the next 3 to 5 years if the level of progress in the last 3 to 4 years can be continued. The outline plan would be to have a 2-tier stand that would take the capacity up from 18 to somewhere between 22 and perhaps even up to 25,000.
For fans wanting to keep in touch with developments at Tynecastle, there are now of course far more options than just the match programme.
We see ourselves as becoming a bigger and bigger club, and it's important that the club invests in various forms of media. We're delighted at the Sky Scottish programme. The feedback from it's been tremendous, and the audience is growing for that. And that's something that Hearts supporters don't pay for and can enjoy, and it's their own special programme every week, and we're very proud of that. The internet site was we were one of the first clubs to have an internet site. We've had it now for a few years, and we're now looking at the upgrade of that site. We get hits from all over the world, sometimes up to 40,000 on a particular week. A hit being, every page that's turned over, if you like, on the site. The site's something we're quite proud of. It was voted best site of a football club 2 years ago by Radio 5.
The board have been particularly active in ridding the club of those confused fans who in years gone by appeared to believe they were supporting a certain Glasgow team and not Hearts.
We had a Union Jack removed from a supporter the other day because Hearts is a Scottish club. We have the Scottish St Andrews flag in our badge, and the element of the Union Jack seemed to us to have connotations more of a National Front type than anything else. And we actually are very much welcome the kind of supporters club flags that have been flying recently at Tynecastle. One that sticks out particularly from the director's box is the Manchester Hearts supporters. That's the kind of flag we want to see it flying at Tynecastle. and people trying to connect Hearts to any broader issues we find unacceptable.
As a Hearts supporter himself, Robinson knows just what it would mean to the fans to be standing in Princes Street watching that open-top bus go past.
I'd quite like to be standing there too, to be honest. I think it would mean a lot to them. That's not something anybody in my position or even the players or the manager can ever promise. It's got to happen. What you have to say though is there has never been a better Hearts team in the last 20 or 30 years that could deliver that. And there has never been a manager and a team around him who have been as focused, who understand the club, what it means to be a Hearts supporter.
There we go, the thoughts of Chief Executive Chris Robinson. Paul, the best team in 20 or 30 years at Tynecastle. Praise indeed. Is he right, do you think?
That's a big statement. It's a comment that must do the boys a lot of good. To be put on a pedestal like that by the Chief Executive's very good.
In big clubs, Celtic or Rangers, for example, obviously being the biggest clubs in Scotland, there's obviously a very definite business side of the club and a playing side of the club. Hearts, with the best will in the world, aren't up there at that size. But how much do you see of the business goings on at Tynecastle?
I think you can see now the size of the stadium and the business side's getting bigger and bigger. So it's all credit to the Chief Executive. He's doing the right thing. Obviously
a very important part for any club, but he's talking about 3 to 5 years. Possibly 25,000 seater with a 2-tier main stand. That'll be an incredible place. That'll be phenomenal. As you can see just now, we're getting sellouts virtually every week. The crowd's right on top of you. It's a great atmosphere to play in, and it's up there with Old Firm at the moment. Obviously, you being a Hearts supporter, born and bred, you'll have grown up with the old Tynecastle, with the terraces and so on. How much of a difference do you notice in the atmosphere at games now? It's getting better now. In the olden days, when I think a lot of the older punters prefer standing compared to the seats now. In the older days, the atmosphere was a lot better, but now, with the amount of people coming back to Tynecastle, it's getting there. It's a right cauldron for the big games, isn't it, with those roofs hanging over the pitch? That's right. The Celtic game was phenomenal. Once Jose scored the late equaliser, it was like the roof had caved in. I don't think anybody who's there will forget that for a long time. Thanks, Paul. So, exciting times off the pitch for the club, but now back to first team matters. Neil McCann has built up a real name for himself since moving south from Dundee 18 months ago. His admirers stretch far beyond Tynecastle, of course, but despite outside interest, he's no desire to leave a winning team. So, what does the man they call Fergus make of it all? Here's David Harron again.
One of Jim Jeffries' greatest achievements as a manager has been persuading the cream of young Scottish talent to sign for Hearts. David Weir, Steve Fulton, Colin Cameron and Jim Hamilton have all been successfully lured to Gorgie, as has a winger who, on his day, to use that old cliché, is worth the admission money alone. And Neil McCann, as Edith Piaf might say, has no regrets about his move.
It was a big move for me coming to Dundee. To be honest, it's been absolutely brilliant. It's beyond what I thought it could be for the first season, and we're into the second season. We're sitting challenging for the Premier League.
How good do you think this Hearts side that's playing here just now is?
Well, you just have to look where we're sitting in the league. We're up there challenging along with Rangers and Celtic, who's going out and spent millions compared to what we've spent. And the team that we've got is a very strong one. It's a very strong squad, and it's exciting as well.
How do you think the supporters have been with you in your time at Hearts?
Personally, been very good. Obviously, in some games I get a bit frustrated, as I imagine the day we all put quite wide. But all in all, they've been very good to me.
McCann has pace, close control, and what traditionalists like to call Tanner ball skills, and these attributes have seen him become a key man in Hearts' title push. Like some other players at Tynecastle, he is hopeful that his skills haven't gone unnoticed by a certain Mr. Brown, who was presumably only joking when he said something about a poor man's Ryan Giggs. After all, Giggs could never have scored a goal as good as this one.
I feel like my form's been quite good this season. Obviously, I've had a couple in different games, quiet games, but as I say, overall, I think my form's been quite good. I've been quoted as maybe getting a chance for a B international. So if I do, then I'll be determined to go out there and take it, and hopefully get in the full squad, because it's every player's dream to go to the World Cup this year. But we've got a few players that's challenging, like myself, like Footy and Hugh Mickey and Paul Ritchie, and so as I say, it's sort of play for.
How much do you think the fact that Hearts get written off all the time by the Glasgow press, how much does that spur the players on?
To be fair, it's quite good that they keep writing us off, because it keeps us out of the limelight. It seems to be Celtic Rangers, it's just going to be challenging for this week. And we've been creeping up and just sitting in behind them, and we're still there with only 12 games to go. So as far as we're concerned, they can talk about the Old Firm as much as they want. We're quite happy just being in the shadows and being in a challenging position.
David Harron's feelings about the Glasgow press, well documented by now. But Paul, is it right to say happy in the shadow of the Old Firm, or do you perhaps resent some of the lack of attention after all the hard work that you obviously put in the results you grind out?
Not at all. I think Neil McCann was right. We'll just sit in the shadows of the Old Firm, and when it comes to the beginning of May, if we're still there, then they can start talking about us.
You made a good point before we were watching that film, Paul. You're talking about you don't realise how many good goals he's scored until you see them all put together like that.
That's right. I was just watching it, and it was phenomenal. Some of the goals he scored were incredible. A couple of ways right foot as well, which would be good for the archives.
Not exactly, not a bad one among them, really, is there?
That's right. They're all good goals.
He's a bit special on his day, isn't he? I mean, the one that stood out there, the goal against Kilmarnock, the one, poor man's Ryan Giggs. Well, watch Ryan Giggs score one like that.
That's right. It was a great move. Colin Cameron and Stevie Fulton were involved as well. He just scores very, very good goals.
He's obviously got a lot to say for himself on the park. What's Neil McCann like behind the scenes?
He's very quiet. He keeps himself to himself. He's a family man. But him and Jim Hamilton are a bit. You've got to watch them. Thick as thieves, the two of them.
He says he gets frustrated, or the fans obviously get frustrated at times with, obviously he's a winger. He's not going to, not everything's going to work for them all the time. Does that transmit to players, do you think? I
don't think so. I think he gets himself a bit upset if he doesn't get the ball. If he's not having a good game, he tends to drift out the game. Whereas I think he should just come back, work hard, and things will come right for him.
Should he have a Scotland place?
Oh, definitely. I think him and Colin Cameron and Stevie Fulton deserve their B chance.
There's talk of a B chance for you as well.
I'll keep my fingers crossed. I'm just happy to keep playing the way I'm playing for Hearts at the moment.
Do you talk about that at training? I mean, obviously behind the scenes and all the rest of it, do you all kind of secretly harbour these ambitions?
Oh, obviously it's an ultimate ambition to play for your country at the highest level, and with the World Cup coming up this year, it's a bit added incentive. But the boys just go about their work on a training day, and that's that.
Good stuff. Thanks very much.